so important to hear and chant about God repeatedly. So be ready. Then we meet the Lord, uh, and then we'll have this attraction. And actually, the Lord usually doesn't wait. If we sincerely hear and chant about the Lord, we'll make such progress that we will feel Bhav awaken in our hearts. See? When that's the Lord, like when Narada Muni, he experienced the Lord awakening, like sitting on the seat of his heart. See? And then the Lord, what did the Lord say in Bhagavatam? He said, he only saw him briefly. And he says, you got more purification to do. Keep chanting and hearing and thinking about me. See? Because people who are not yet sufficiently purified can hardly see me. Okay? Sadhu Sanga is so important. What we're doing here is really important. Today when I came, I noticed these very subtle things. I noticed I came here and I felt the power to chant the holy name. Whereas this morning was more difficult and all of this, and it's very hard. I come here and I felt that, Lord, coming to Sadhu Sanga, I feel that I'm getting the gift for the enthusiasm to chant your holy name. Thank you. See? A lot of us don't realize what you get. Or I don't even know the full extent of it. But Sadhu Sanga, there's many blessings we get just by coming. It helps us become more eager to do devotional service, become more attracted. Yeah. I just love these verses like this. See, the ladies of Mathura had repeatedly heard about Krishna. Thus, as soon as they saw them, their hearts melted. They felt honored that he was sprinkling upon them the nectar of his glances and broad smiles. Taking him into their hearts through their eyes, they embraced him. The embodiment of all ecstasy. See? The embodiment of all ecstasy. So, I tell you, why wait? Why not pray for the embodiment of all ecstasy to awaken in our hearts? Because that's where the happiness is. There's no other reality, that we can experience. Only when this ecstasy of the Lord awakening in our heart appears, do we find what is true happiness, what is true love, what is true purification. It's like nothing. If you experience just even a brief second, not even that, a millisecond of the Lord awakening in the heart, then you know what is true purification. And you think, what kind of rule can give this kind of purification? And you hanker for the Lord's way. Ecstatic. Taking him into their hearts through their eyes, they embraced him, the embodiment of all ecstasy. And as their bodily hairs stood on end, O subduer of the enemies, they forgot the unlimited distress caused by his absence. See? That's the nature. See? Whenever we don't feel, see here, they're devotees. They were living in a dham, Mathura, but Krishna had not yet appeared to them. So there's going to be naturally unlimited distress. We all feel that even now. When we come to Sadhu Sanga, if you you feel good that you came. See, that's me, because there's so much distress is being destroyed. That's just a glimpse of the chanting of the holy names or hearing them. We're getting just a glimmer of it. It takes all this distress away. See? And it just goes deeper. And then after a while, you start becoming ecstatic coming to Sadhu Sanga. Or even chanting. Chanting on your own sometimes become ecstatic. And then you just live for being touched and touching the Lord. Okay? That's Vrindavan. That's all they live for. To see Krishna every day. When they go to bed, Krishna, this relationship is so wonderful. When they go to bed at night, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to meet Krishna in the morning. Where Krishna goes pasturing the cows. They're there with their friends. And they're all waiting. They're doing their duties. This is bhakti yoga process, man. You do your duties, and you're thinking about Krishna. And the more Sadhu Sangha, this is where we're trying to work on this. You get attracted, point where you want to think about Krishna when you're out there working, and then want to attain connection again, a communion. See, so they're doing their little work, and then the Krishna's coming back. They're all there, waiting for darshan. Darshan. When we come here, I kind of glorifying Sadhu Sangha is so important. We should come here expectant of darshan. This is, Krishna says you can build well. I just want to glorify a little bit Sadhu Sangha. Wherever you get it, doesn't have to be here. Wherever you can find devotees sincerely glorifying God, that's the place to be. That's an oasis in this huge desert of the material world. Krishna says you can build wells, you can do sadhana bhakti, you can chant mantras, you can do all these things. And very difficult, very rarely will you attain me. In Krishna Bhagavatam somewhere. Read that quote in Saints of Raj. But I am attained easily in Sadhu Sangha. Devotees getting together and talking about Krishna. Very attracts Krishna to come. What else we got here in the world? This is what Prabhupada told me to do this, Sadhu Sangha, man. That's why I'm kind of when Maya doesn't give me a left hook because of my bad past karmic stuff and all of that. This is it, man. Follow that order, Sadhu Sangha. You do Sadhu Sangha. This is exactly what I want you to do. You just hold it. You just do it, and you'll see what happens after, day after day, after month, after year after year. What happens? Sadhu Sangha. Prabhupada's backing. Yeah. Their lotus faces blooming with affection. The ladies who had climbed to the roofs of the mansions rained down showers of flowers upon Lord Balaram, Lord Krishna. It's in every one of us. That love that they have is for God is in every one of us. It's just covered over with all this junk. Junky lives and karmas for time immemorial, man. That's all this. This is why the Lord has to come here. He has to start it. He has to start the lines. He started with Jesus. God comes like in the form of Jesus. Whatever you want to think of him as a devotee or a plenary portion or whatever. Still, he started something with Jesus. He started something with Krishna. He starts the lines with Lord Chaitanya, especially for us. See, that's where the juice is. Okay. This makes their first fruits, the devotees, bloom. Okay. Then it continues on through those who have real attraction for the Lord. They're glorifying the Lord. People get it through that. The Lord starts to awaken in their hearts. See? So the Lord, basically, you see what an honor he gives. Anyone who saw the Lord, they got the Lord awakening in their hearts. When they saw Lord Chaitanya, the Lord awakened. If they were ready, they weren't like the washermen. Many of those got attracted too. See? And then they start glorifying the Lord. They glorifying, when they love, they glorify the truth. They glorify reality. And those who are ready, the Lord starts awakening their heart. Other people become attracted, usually for some motives and mixed in there too. But anyway, things start going. That's a real disciplic succession. It's based on attraction. The reason why the Christian thing is pretty more potent nowadays is because they got the awakening in the heart, and when they glorify Christ, It awakens the Holy Spirit in other people's heart that want that. The Vaishnava system is basically the same thing. Otherwise, it'll be just people. If a person doesn't really feel attraction, ecstatic attraction, just natural love where they bloom, literally bloom with love, when they're in touch with the Lord through hearing, chanting, remembering the name, the fame, the pastimes to some degree, they cannot really pass this on to others. You can pass out rule lists like the Pharisees. They passed on the Bible, not very well. I mean, they had people coming to them and all of this, but nobody's hearts were changing. In Vaishnavism was the same thing. When it becomes the same thing if there's no ecstatic attraction in the line. It becomes just one based on rules and regulations. You see, Prabodhananda, after Lord Chaitanya disappeared, Prabodhananda and Saraswati Thakur started to see this, and he wrote it right in his poem. He says, after Lord Chaitanya disappeared, who teaches like that anymore? Who teaches by when they chant verses, it awakens bhakti, and there's sometimes tears in there, sometimes ecstasy, choking of the voice. Who taught like that other than Lord Chaitanya and his very close associates? He started disappearing. He said, where is that kind of teaching now? He says, I see it's all covered over with different things. I see people teaching rules and regulations of Vaidhi Bhakti. I see that teaching. I see people glorifying also the conjugal mood, but they're not really tasting it. People like now, they can memorize so many verses, about nectar devotion, and teach that. And people think, wow, this person's a real expert. But they're not tasting those verses yet. See, that's the way Lord Chaitanya taught. He started a line like that. That's the way Narottam Das Thakur taught. That's the way Shyamananda taught. That's the way Srinivas taught. Where is that kind of teaching now? I don't know who'd be interested in this, but that's what interests me. If I start talking about Krishna and I don't feel anything, awaken, I feel unsuccessful day today. You might think, that's the way Lord Chaitanya thought. Lord Chaitanya, he talked to some materialists, or he felt he maybe committed an offense, that he did, but he said this to teach us. He was chanting, he says, I don't feel the usual ecstasy today. What did I do? Oh, I talked to some materialistic people. Whatever is in the block. He's trying to teach us how to enter in to ecstatic devotion and how to maintain it. Basically, you have to be around ecstatic devotees. That's the way it awakens, and that's the way it's maintained. That's what Lord Chaitanya came to teach. The women of Mathura exclaimed, oh, what severe austerities the gopis must have performed to be able to regularly see Krishna and Balaram, who are the greatest source of pleasure for all mankind. The goddess of fortune, she tried to get association of Vrindavan Krishna, but couldn't do it. And that association, you know what it's based on only? Eagerness. She just didn't have the eagerness for that kind of devotion. See, those devotees are drawn so close to Krishna because they are so eager to be with him. Okay? This is the secret of chanting. When we chant, is to be close to Krishna, is based on eagerness. Now, if the goddess of fortune would have done, she did all these austerities to get this kind of thing. But you know what? If she would have had the association of those devotees there doing her austerities, she would have got it. And that goes for all of us. This is a basic principle of bhakti. Be around devotees who are more eager to attain Krishna than we are. And that is the secret. It is based only on eagerness and affection. Not on how many rules you follow, or how great a Vaishnava you are, or how Paka devotee you are, or any of us. It's how eager we are. See? These are the subtle principles that Chaitanya Leela teaches. Even Bhagavatam teaches these things. You've got to just be able to see them. The women of Mathura exclaimed, "Oh, what severe austerities the gopis must have performed to be able to regularly see Krishna Balaram." The greatest, who are the greatest source of pleasure for all. See, so because of that, and that kind of association, that's how we get it. That's why I like to read these books of the Goswamis, because of their eagerness, man, their closeness to that kind of devotional service. They're so eager. There's some hope. There's by that association that we can also be pulled into that, okay? Because of their closeness. See, their eagerness that brought them all the way to Vrindavan worship of Krishna. They're so close. They're only separated from Krishna for an hour or two, maybe. Okay, not very long. Or a few hours. Which builds up their desire to meet Krishna. What did he say? He probably had to go to work or something. Okay. Oops. Okay. Oops. Seeing the washerman approaching, who had been dyeing some clothes, Krishna asked him for the finest laundered garments he had. Lord Krishna said, "Please give suitable garments to the two of us, who certainly deserve them. If you grant this charity, you will undoubtedly receive the greatest benefit." Thus requested by the Supreme Lord, who is perfectly complete in all respects, that arrogant servant of the king became angry and replied insultingly, "You impudent boys, you are accustomed to roaming the mountains and forests, and yet you would dare put on such clothes as these? These are the king's possessions, for you are asking for." "Fools, get out of here quickly. Don't beg like this, if you want to stay alive. When someone is too bold, the king's men arrest him and kill him and take all his property." As the washerman thus spoke brazenly, the son of Devaki became angry, and then merely with his fingertips he separated the man's head from his body. Okay, does anybody want to read now? Change up. I've spoke enough and read enough. Somebody could take over. You can read whatever you want now.
I don't particularly like the separating the head from the body, ending on that part, but it's part of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Well, you got to see the not the surface. You got to see the truth about it. The truth is they got liberation. Now that person was slated for hell, going to hell. So, Krishna came to protect Dharma, and that's how he gave liberation by through the fighting, that's the way he did it. Purified them. He had that Sudarshan disc. See, the mode, that's the thing, it's kind of, you almost have to go beyond the mode of goodness or faith in it, because these things are transcendental activities. You have to see, because, that's what Arjuna, he was stopped at the point of, he said, this is not right to fight, it's not really a good thing to do, to kill my relatives and all of this. See? So Krishna taught him a transcendental teaching, which he said, this is ordained by me. This is the way that's purifying the planet. See, so we're almost, otherwise you have faith in the mode of goodness instead of the transcendental activities of God being actually superior. And I'll show you even logic.